For a celebration with family or friends, nothing better than Mexican chocolate truffles. Hi everybody and welcome back to my kitchen. Mexican chocolate truffles. Do I really need to say any more to capture your attention? Mexican chocolate is so special in its own right. It's more coarsely ground. It's usually very fermented cacao beans, and it has such a dynamic flavor. Oftentimes cinnamon or vanilla can be part of the mix as well. Okay, so like all chocolate truffles, we are going to make a ganache. That is just a mixture of chocolate and cream, and that's going to form the base of our Mexican chocolate truffles. But which chocolate should you choose? This is not a place for the inexpensive Abuelita that you find in most of the Mexican grocery stores. I'm going to encourage you to find the really high-grade Mexican chocolate, like what you find from Taza. There are a number of them out there, not the least of which is this mix which we make at our restaurant called Xoco. We bring in Mexican cacao beans, we roast them, we winnow them, we grind them, and then we mix them with sugar. Now you'll notice that this is not in the tablet form because we have already broken it all up for you to make making the ganache or your Mexican hot chocolate way easier. If you use the Taza brand, I suggest that you chop up the disc that it comes in, scoop that up into a food processor and pulverize it so you get this kind of consistency. So I've got my cream already hot here, and I'm going to open this, or you would take your chocolate out of your food processor, finely ground as this is, and then put it in with the cream and stir it over a sort of low-ish heat here until it really comes together. When I say comes together, it's going to look a lot like frosting at this point, like a chocolate frosting, because Mexican cacao or Mexican chocolate has cacao that is not quite so finely ground as your Hershey bars and your fancy kind of chocolate bars. This needs to cook for a minute. I'm going to say minute to 2 minutes to get it as smooth as possible. Okay, it's looking really creamy and nice now, so I think I can turn off the heat here. Yeah, it's looking really good. Okay, our next step is to put this into a bowl and then refrigerate it. I need to refrigerate this for at least 4 hours, but preferably overnight, for it to firm up completely, and then we can form it into our Mexican chocolate truffles. This is very firm now. This is one that I made last night, actually, so it's in a different bowl than what I showed you. Now, this is just one of those really small scoops. You could do this with a tablespoon if you wanted to, but I'm going to scoop them all out first. Then I'm going to come back and roll them into perfect little spheres. Now, I like to do this next stage with the gloves on because my hands really run hot. And if we're going to pick these up and roll them like this, they're going to be less melty in my hands if I have the gloves on. But I just want to make them into nice little round balls. Now, I didn't tell you that I had this little sheet pan here with plastic on it that just keeps them from sticking. My next step here is going to be to coat them in more of that crushed Mexican chocolate that we started with, that we made the ganache out of. I'm going to keep the one hand gloved here, and then we're going to roll it in the chocolate. And there's lots of things you could do here. You could throw sprinkles in there if you wanted to create a different look. There's flavorings you could add to this. You just don't want to go too heavy in any liquid things. But if you are wanting to put a little hint of mezcal or tequila in your truffles, feel free to put up to about a tablespoon or so in there. You could also play around with little extracts if you like almond extract. It's always really delicious in these kinds of truffles. Now, when you finish all of this, you're going to want to keep these guys in the refrigerator so that the ganache stays firm enough, and then bring them out at snack time or at the end of the meal as a special treat for all of your friends, your guests. I'm going to continue this until they all get covered. Mexican chocolate crushed up and cooked with a little cream, cooled down, scooped out, rolled. That's about as simple as truffles can get.